Ladies and gentlemen, this Red Gaming Todokum video, we're going to be further discussing the Xbox One business as a whole, as recent rumours, shall we go with, have come to light that seem to indicate that the new CEO candidate, Stephen Elop, is actually considering not only selling the Xbox business, but also killing and destroying the Bing brand. Now, let's talk about this one step at a time. Now, currently, the current CEO is Steve Ballmer, and he wishes to retire within 10 months' time. The reason he wants to do so is because he believes that it's time for someone else to step in and basically forge a new path for the company. And right now, there are a couple of potentials. For example, the Ford CEO, Alan Mulally, and of course the former Nokia CEO, Stephen Elop, which is primarily what this video is about. And they are external candidates, in other words, they're not originating from within Microsoft. Now, Alan apparently has no plans, and this is what he's stating anyway, to leave Ford, but a Bloomberg report claims that Elop, meanwhile, is actually having big plans if he is made CEO. So what would it mean if he was to come to the company? Well, he's not exactly a Microsoft virgin, if you will. He actually was formerly the head of the Microsoft business division. Then he moved, as I said, to Nokia. When he was part of the Microsoft business division, he was responsible for Office, other products as well that were, of course, targeted towards the business applications. However, should he return, he would want not only the Microsoft to start pushing Office for the Android and iOS, but also he has many more plans as well. Now, one of those is a potential strategy is he wants to start selling more Microsoft Office products rather than pushing the Windows PC and tablet sales. And also he wants to kill off some other major businesses which he considers are struggling. For example, the Bing search. Now, Bing does make money, primarily through the advertising means, but it just can't compete right now with Google. And also, some investors and analysts have actually said that Microsoft would be better off to just split off the Xbox business, give up on search, and to sell the Xbox business as a whole, lock, stock, and barrel. And this is actually what Elop is considering. Well, this is never going to happen, I hear you scream. Why would they do that? Well, one of Microsoft's co-founders, his name is Paul Allen, so he shares the same name as me. Unfortunately, I'm not a billionaire, regardless. A third Paul in this, that's not me, but Paul Chafari, actually has revealed that the Xbox and Bing have been considered to be and I quote, distraction to Microsoft. And also, my view is that there are some parts of the operation that could potentially spin out, get rid of, to focus on enterprise and focus on the cloud. This is what Nomura analyst Rick Sherlin claims. Do I think this is a possibility? Well, anything is possible. It's not exactly a surprise or a unique idea to say that the Xbox division hasn't been doing as well maybe as what you'd expect. As well as the next generation Xbox costing a hell of a lot of money and with a lot of negative publicity, which, to be honest with you, is not exactly anyone's fault apart from Microsoft. And this is a kind of cause and symptom. I would agree that many have said that, well, Microsoft just don't seem to know what one hand is doing, while the other hand is basically slapping themselves in the face, the other hand is trying to rub it and fix it. And you may think that this is just me being a little bit sarcastic, maybe a smidge harsh. Well, it's actually ridiculously true. Just look at the conversation histories. Today I'm covering a second video which is to do with Resolution Gate again, where Microsoft have gone on the defensive and said, well, you know what, resolution isn't everything. And then, pretty much almost simultaneously, someone else in Microsoft were commenting about how awesome Forza 5 looks at 1080p and how much of a big deal it is and everything else. So it's like, well, that's not the best way to go about things. It's like if you want to say one thing, you can't have two messages. It's also fair to say that the cloud, which Microsoft are investing in very heavily, Windows Azure, is actually doing really well. In a series of tests, they actually pretty much destroyed not only the more traditional services, but it's also beating things such as Amazon, who've been in it for a while, and they're actually slightly faster even than Rackspace, which is pretty damn impressive. Not in all tests, of course, but in the majority of tests it was actually considered to be faster. And obviously Microsoft are investing a ridiculous, ludicrous, atrocious amount of money in this right now because they believe it's going to be the big thing. Meanwhile, sales of the Xbox have been somewhat down, particularly because consoles, I mean, this is something I've been saying for a while, but come on now. Unless your Xbox 360 breaks, let's say 6 months ago, so let's say early 2013, let's say that your Xbox 360 broke, then you may buy another one. If you can get one cheap, you might buy one used. If you could get it really cheap, maybe off eBay or something, or you'll just buy the basic model possible to continue playing. The same with the PlayStation. Let's face it. Or let's say you've got the PlayStation 3, you might buy the Xbox for a particular exclusive, or vice versa. For example, you might have bought the PS3 for, say, The Last of Us, which I know some people were doing. I'm just giving some examples. But right now, the Wii U is actually selling extremely well. Sales are actually up 1,500%. It's actually destroying the competition right now. It's actually outselling the PlayStation 3 and everything else, because it's gotten to the point where if you don't own or don't want a console now, if you've not been basically tempted with a PS3 before, most likely you're not going to have been tempted by one at this moment in time, because there's just not much out for you. And so obviously the console sales have been somewhat slower than what you maybe would expect. Software sales are okay, but even, say, Call of Duty hasn't sold as well as what some gamers expected. And Activision have been blaming the fact that people have just been basically waiting for the next generation. I would kind of argue against them, and I would say that it's also because the game's somewhat broken on PC even, for example, let alone the next-gen console. So I guess we're just going to have to see if their figures are vindicated. Regardless, it is a pretty well, let's just say there's a lot of turmoil. It's not just a time of transition, but it's a term of turmoil from all companies. And obviously, if it is true, if Microsoft do end up selling it, and I'm not saying it will happen, but if they do end up selling the Xbox brand, it's going to be really curious, because they've invested a lot in this. I mean, they've got the apps, for example. They've got the search engine, which is powered by Bing, so that's going to go out the window. They've of course got other functions. They've got a lot of the applications and so on, which are built on for the Xbox. They've really pushed this technology and everything else. So I guess we're just going to have to see. But from Microsoft's perspective, this news is probably not good to be leaked, because it's probably not going to put that much faith in the brand. Also, I do wonder who can buy it out. I mean, Sony, I just don't think will have the money. I'll just be honest. They are doing okay financially. They're doing better than what they were, but they're not exactly flush with cash. The cost of the PlayStation 4 really did wipe them out, and from what we're hearing, they really need the PlayStation 4 to be successful. I mean, really, they do. The TV sales have been down. Smartphones and whatever else haven't been doing as well as what they'd hoped. Their traditional means of selling things, for example, the hi-fis and the stereos, which and CD players, which were synonymous with Sony back in the early 2000s and the late 90s. Obviously, people aren't getting those now, and they've got so many different competitors. Obviously, the iPod, and goodness knows what else. And even me, I mean, I used to own an iPod. Just give you a basic understanding of what I'm talking about. But I just don't use it anymore. I mean, I've got a Samsung Galaxy S2, and yes, I do need to upgrade, but I'm waiting for the S5. Damn it! And I just listen to all my music through that. Okay, it's not as good as an iPod for most things, but sure, it does the job for me. It's not like I need it for super long trips. I'm just going backwards and I'm just ferrying myself backwards and forwards to work, and so iPod not really needed. I always take my phone with me to the gym because why the hell not? What else are you going to do between sets? So pretty good. Just does the job, and sales because of that have been down. So the iPod obviously has taken a lot away from Sony. Then you've got other issues like Nintendo probably have the cash to buy it, but then I wonder what they would do with it. They'd have it, and I don't really see where they'd go with it. So I mean, I've heard some wild suggestions of who might buy it. I mean, there were some rumours about Samsung, and they've certainly got cash, but God knows. So who the heck knows? This is really early. This has not been confirmed. This is just one of the possible plans if he does become CEO. He is definitely a lead, a candidate, but he's not sitting in the job. He's not sitting in the job now. He's not taking residence on the CEO chair. He is not, counting his pennies. He is not, adding another job to his resume. He's simply in the running. So I just want to reiterate that for this video. Anyway, I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye for now.